cutting orange ends, throwing in branches, and I'm like, oh, okay.
It's a very pretty craft, in my opinion.
Literally one of the greatest things you've ever done.
It literally smells like Canmore.
Critic, I'm getting notes of clove.
We're making our own Christmas cactus.
Okay. You can turn it into a game.
And ASMR slicing it. Ow. Don't do this. Welcome back to the Helpful Gardeners podcast. Hey, we are talking about Christmas trends that you can do with plants this week. I was on Pinterest, as I do, and I was noticing just like a lot of nods to the more natural decor this year. And so I thought, well, this is right up our alley.
Yep.
Let's talk about it. Let's get a little bit resourceful, a little bit creative, get into the festive spirit. So I don't know if you've been seeing this at some of the markets, like some of the Christmas markets are starting to come out. There's this one vendor I saw at the Christmas market last weekend, and they actually had like simmer pot kits. And I was like, I don't know what a simmer pot is. Like what is this thing? So I started looking it up, and it's essentially a pot that you put on your stove. You put some water in it. You put in a few other ingredients, and then you're just supposed to let it simmer in your house, and it's supposed to make it smell incredible.
It's like a diffuser, but you can really change it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Why don't we do one?
Why don't we?
So I thought, okay, we're going to test this on the show and see if it'll actually work.
We don't have a stove, though.
We have an Instant Pot.
Oh, there we go.
Hashtag not sponsored. Okay. So I thought we would start with the simmer pot because we can get it simmering, and then we'll see if it actually makes a scent by the end of the episode.
So it'll be like one of those where we're like, here's one we made earlier.
Yeah.
Like we'll go full Martha Stewart.
Yes, exactly. We're channeling a little bit today. So I found this recipe online. It's called Quiet Winter Forest Simmer Pot.
Oh, I like that.
Sounds lovely, right?
Yeah.
You can find simmer pot recipes for everything. I found you can find one for like an apple cinnamon one. There's one that uses things like nutmeg and allspice and like that kind of thing. Like you can even get so intentional with simmer pots. So like some people will associate different water with different feelings or different like sentiments. Like if you're trying to like cleanse your home. So essentially simmer pots were originally to celebrate the changing of the seasons and to cleanse your home of bad energy. Now it's just trendy.
So a simmer pot is So I thought a simmer pot was a pot that had been repurposed. So if you'd asked me what a simmer pot was, I'd be like, when you've got a soup recipe and it's like, let simmer for an hour or whatever, I would have thought, oh, well, that's a simmer pot.
Yeah.
But technically it's not. It's just your pot that you turn down to simmer. So I'll let you keep going.
It's the literal definition of the thing. So we need a few fir tree sprigs, and of course we have all of our balsam fir in the tree lot now, in tree form and in bough form. So it was really easy to just grab like just a couple snips, you know? So this is like literally what you do. You just...
Oh, you don't have to cut it up smaller?
I don't think so. They're just like toss it in. Gonna toss in a few sprigs of fir.
Gonna be the worst soup ever.
Don't eat this, please. I don't even know if it's safe for your plants, to be honest with you.
I
think?
I mean, it's not going to be good for the plants that you put in the simmering water.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to reuse that water and water your plants,
well, there you go. Double purpose, right? A few sprigs of juniper berries. Smells good, right?
Juniper berries used to be the flavoring of gin.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you if anybody else is curious about that, if you cut in to a juniper berry and smell it, you get that faint aroma of gin. And next week, we're going to be drinking gin and tonics. Right. Can I throw this one in?
Throw it in.
All right.
Okay, next up, 2 to 3 bay leaves.
Okay. Ooh, they smell good. I've never used a bay leaf in my life.
Do you just find it like you're like, it doesnly really make a difference kind of thing?
No, there's very few recipes I have that call for bay leaves. Yeah. And I'm just like, meh. Really? I'm not going to go out of my way to buy them. I mean, out of my way, I literally walk by them every time I groceries. So I'm not going to move my arm on a 34-degree angle to buy them. So 2 or 3?
Yeah.
I think 3 is the call.
Perfect.
I'm gonna go like a kid, and more is more.
Perfect.
Okay, we have 3 bits. I like this because you just literally, you don't have to prep it. You just chucking
you
it
just
in.
toss it right in. Okay, next up is a handful of cloves.
I love cloves.
Has that always been a thing for you?
Yeah. I don't know what it is. You know what it's fun? It smells at the same time both exotic but also homey.
Yeah. Wait, let me taste.
Yeah, have a taste.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like it's got like an exotic, but it also makes you feel like safe, like secure. That's good enough, I think.
Yeah.
Cloves can be pretty overpowering.
Yeah. We'll toss that in.
Okay.
Bam. And then
Well,
finally...
I feel like we're witches. I feel like it's like Christmas witchery. I love it.
And a little bit of...
Exactly. This could like be a Halloween episode too.
So the last thing you want to add is a few fresh orange slices or peels. So I'm just taking an orange and ASMR slicing it. Ow. Don't do this. Use a cutting board at home. Can you hear that?
That does sound great though. You're dripping juice all over yourself.
It's part of the process.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. We'll go 2. Let's just put another one in there just for...
Okay.
And I've left the whatever you call it, the skin,
the
rind on.
The zest.
The peel.
I find it appealing.
And then keep the rest for later.
Okay.
To eat. Okay. Now that we've got that in, I'm just going to give this a little bit of a stir.
This is fantastic. I love the chaotic, like just throw it in.
Throw it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, lots of good ASMR there. I like that. I like the little tapping. Like, ooh.
So now I'm going to reach over and then pop this back on the Instant Pot. Now, you can do this like originally on the stove, but I did find some recipes and just like directions on how to use an Instant Pot if that's all you have. So popping that in. Okay.
Now, does it give a recommendation? Because I noticed when you did this, the one thing that you'd already prepared. So is the water, because I guess if it's on the stove, you don't want to run the risk of dry boiling it. Does it matter, or is it like more water? Because it's not really going to dilute it, because I guess it's going to come out in the steam. Or
yeah, so typically like you'll see recipes say a specific amount and like in the size of pot, because that is something you need to be careful of is how much you don't want to like have it all boiling off and then become a hazard. Typically like these things will simmer for like a few hours. You can just have them on there. So you do typically want to have a large amount of water. I just chose to do like half a pot because we'll only be here for like an hour, if that.
Yep.
So we'll see how it goes. And by the end of the show, we'll take a sniff, explain it to you.
Oh, I'm like, I can smell juniper, but
Smell the orange.
My hand is right here now.
Oh, literally, that's me too. Well, I mean, I just dripped it all over myself, so I'm going to smell like...
So you can smell the orange.
Smell a lot of the orange. Okay, so what else can you do with more plant, like either with existing plants in your house or with plants in general to decorate or celebrate the holiday season? And one thing that you actually sent me this week is using lights to warm your plants.
Oh,
so
yeah. I saw that on Insta, yeah.
Right? And I mean, obviously there's some things to worry about. Like if you have LED lights, I don't really know how much that's going to warm things up. And also being careful of leaves, because some of those more like older style, incandescent lights can definitely like become quite hot on your leaves. What would be the benefit of warming up, like say the soil portion of your plants with lights?
Just better root growth helps dry out any. So a lot of times we've touched on this. When the season changes, we don't always change our watering habits. So we're watering plants that don't need it. So warming that soil up nice and slowly will help dry it out.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it'll be good for that. A warm soil is better for the plants. Like houseplants don't want to be cold. They want to be warm. And I'm just going to quickly touch on this. Normalize brown leaves. If I tell, Harry when he was younger, that's hot, and he looks at me and I'm like, don't touch it, it's hot, and he touches it and burns himself, well, now you know. So I tell the plants, just be careful around the light, and they touch it and the leaf burns, and I go, hey, You were warned.
Yeah.
And then the next leaf, so the leaf comes up, touches it, burns, and then the next leaf.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, that's how it learns, right?
Exactly. So I let it do its thing.
That's really interesting because I know like you can do, there's a lot of like alternative Christmas tree options out there. So one of the more popular ones in Calgary, at least, is the Norfolk pine. We see them potted up in the houseplant department all the time. And we see people putting lights on those all the time. And it doesn't seem to really have like an effect on the plant, which is nice to see. But I know like last year I put those more like older style Christmas lights on my monstera, and I definitely did notice that some of the lights did burn the leaves, but
little
like,
brown dots or white dots.
But like you said, it was more so just an aesthetic thing moving forward past the season, and I actually kept it into January and February just to have some sort of light and some kind of coziness.
I find especially the white lights, I think a lot of people were like, I love these lights. Why do I bring them out for like 5 weeks?
Yeah.
I want them out all the time. Like, you know what? If something does spark joy, I'm keeping it. I'm channeling my Hugo and Maria Kondo.
No, I completely agree. Even downstairs in our houseplant department, Lucas just completely dressed up the Tillandsia, so the air plant table, and he put Christmas lights around it. And you know how dark it can get in the houseplant department. So in an effort just to kind of make things feel a little bit more, homey, maybe romantic, he put a bunch of these little LED lights around the Tillandsia, and it looks really awesome.
Well, the other morning we were shooting with CTV.
Yeah.
And we turned the lights on, and then the cameraman obviously sets up proper lights. And I was like, oh, hold on. And you know how they've decorated all the poles and they've got the garland?
Yeah.
And I went and I turned it on. It added no extra illumination, but the cameraman, Keith is his name, he's a great guy. Keith was so happy because he said it added depth and warmth in the background.
Yeah. So, I'm definitely encourage you to look at your houseplants and see if you can jazz them up a little bit for the holidays and beyond in January and February, and just kind of create that little bit of romance. Okay, so next up, on the same thought of houseplants, we had these Christmas cactus, but turns out they were Thanksgiving cactus.
Uh-oh.
It's almost like the debacle of daylight savings. People are so passionate about this, which I understand. They are two, slightly different variations of the same type of plant. I get it. So they have different leaf shapes. So I thought I would do a play on the Christmas cactus.
Nice.
Make our own Christmas cactus.
Oh, we're making our own?
We're making our own Christmas cactus. Okay. So for this, you'll need a cactus. So if you have a cactus at home, you can totally do this. And I have pom-poms. So essentially, I'm going to get Colin to do this because it's more fun that way. Anybody can do this, but it's more fun. So, okay. So essentially I'll do one for you.
Okay.
Okay. So essentially you'll take one pom-pom.
Uh-huh.
And then you will be super careful.
Super careful.
You could even use gloves for this, which, you should probably do it. And then you find one of the little needles and you just poke it on there. Okay, so I'm going to do this one.
Okay.
It's successful.
This is fantastic.
Okay, so...
Okay, I'm going to move my mic a little bit.
Okay, I did one at home and I added a bell and it was like the best thing. Oh my gosh, it worked. You could throw it at it.
Exactly. Oh.
Hey!
You can turn it into a game. Okay.
I was not expecting you to hack this. Why is this so fun? I'm going to pop up the picture here of the one that I did at home. I added a bell to it, and it's so cute because whenever I take it down to water, it just kind of jingles. And it's really sweet.
Is that what the bells are? You didn't thread a bell on the needle.
I did.
Oh my God.
I don't even know if you...
This is honestly one of the best things I've ever seen.
It's great, eh?
This is, you know what? I've taught people about cactus kids, and I'm always like, what are the needles? And a lot of kids go, oh, they're the leaves, right?
Yeah.
Because they're looking for leaves, right? Traditionally, we see plants with leaves. Mm-hmm. And I say, no, the only purpose for the needle is protection. Well, touche, Brandy. Touche.
And decoration.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay, this
nice.
is...
Okay, so yeah, show the camera. So this is
now my favorite Christmas cactus ever.
So it's my take or our take on a Christmas cactus. But yeah, you can do this. You can even remove them at the end of the season when you're done. Just be super careful. Like use tweezers for sure. You might as well just leave that. I know you're...
No. It's...
Oh my God.
Yeah, maybe this is one of those activities that you don't do with the kids.
Yeah.
This is
Maybe you surprise the kids.
I think this is like literally one of the greatest things you've ever done.
Like, I think this would be super fun. Say you had a cactus in your office and you were like, I just want like a little bit of festive fancy on my office cactus. Totally do that. And it jingles, right?
And it doesn't.
It's so cute.
And it doesn't hurt it.
No.
There's no risk of any burning.
Yeah.
You haven't done any structural damage.
Yeah.
Then, like you said, a pair of tweezers, you can just pluck everything off when you're done.
Super easy, right? All right. Okay. So next up, and you alluded to this at the beginning of the episode. What we saw this like curtain rod entryway hack. So just refreshing in case you haven't seen this before, but this is essentially what we're talking about. So we have essentially a curtain rod that goes across the entryway. And, depending on how wide your entryway is, you might have to get it reinforced. But then you put either artificial or live garland across the top, and then you can intertwine things like lights and baubles and paper crafts and whatnot, and it's supposed to look really nice. I thought this was a whole new concept. I go downstairs to the Decor ladies being like, wow, they're going to be on my level. And they're like, Brandy, that's not new.
Now, granted, I'm not the biggest, I'm certainly no Grinch, but I'm not the biggest Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
My entire time, I've never seen it done. People like me, again, I'm not going to rearrange my whole house for any event. It's just not in me to do that. So I'm not going to, if we want garland around a door frame, I'm not going to take out hammer and nails and screws. I'm not going to do frame. I'm not going to put holes in my drywall for that. But if all I had to do was put a curtain rod or a shower rod, wrap some garland that would then trail down, maybe some mistletoe under it because you're in a doorway.
Yeah.
Hey, presto, a decoration. In what, 20 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah.
20
Easy peasy.
minutes. Yeah. So that is the kind of hack that I can get behind because you can instantly jazz somewhere up for minimal outlay of both money and time.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if you don't want to use live. Like, I love the idea of using live because of the scent that comes with it. Oh, let's check up on our thing. Oh, our pot is steaming.
Yeah. Waft it. Do some wafting here.
I'm starting to smell something. Maybe.
I think I am when you started.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have to remember too, it's going to take a while for the water to seep in because the way I imagine it works is that it's got to pull the oils out of the plants and start mixing it and then start putting it out in steam.
Yeah.
So
I feel like the first things that you're going to smell is going to be like the orange and the cloves.
Yeah.
But then the greenery might take a little bit because, like you said, it needs to seep out. So I don't know.
If I was going to do it, and I've never done it before, but my brain would instantly tell me, crank it on to boil and then turn it to simmer.
Okay, so I just put it on to saute, which would, I think, in theory, put it to a boil.
Okay.
And then once we see it boil, we'll put it back down to slow cook.
Yep.
We'll see what happens. Okay, moving on to, we talked about this last week.
Oh, your dried oranges.
Yes. Okay. So I actually made some dried oranges for the first time ever.
How did you dry them?
Okay. So I actually, because you know me, I can't just do oranges. I can't just be simple. So I grabbed grapefruit, orange, lime, and lemon.
What? So you went dried citrus.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious, right? I was curious.
You just gotta be extra, don't you?
I really did. Well, I was curious. This is what happens when I'm curious. I'm like, I'm exploring the whole dang thing.
Yep.
Okay. So essentially, I'll walk you through the process of what I did. So this is what the product is. So this is a grapefruit.
Okay.
And it doesn't really smell like anything,
not much.
right?
I smelled the orange.
Yeah. The lime kind of smells like a lime still. Okay. The lemon, not really.
The lime's really the only one that has and it's very faint.
It is very, very faint. So here's what you do. So I cut my slices very thin.
Yeah, you did.
Like super thin. And then you just put them on a cookie sheet. At least this is the recipe that I did, because I know you've been doing this since, I think you said your parents did it when you were growing up, right?
We had them, but I don't believe we ever made them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, but you had them.
Yeah.
So I put a piece of parchment paper on my cookie sheet, put my oven to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, so a lot lower. And then on top of the parchment paper, you put your thin slices of citrus and you just kind of put them so there's like a little bit of space in between. And then you just layer them out on your cookie sheet.
So basically it's like dehydrating.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, okay.
Now, here's the fun part. I found 2 different recipes. One said use sugar and lightly dust the top. Because here's what you can do with these. You can use them as fancy drink accents. So you can put them like inside the drink.
Yeah, like a garnish.
Like a garnish.
Yep.
You can put them as garland, which I know you were mentioning. Brad's mom actually did that as well. So she used to dry out oranges and then use them as garland.
Look at the hole. So it's very easy to thread through.
So easy. Oh, you can also use them to decorate gifts. So like putting the string in between, like in through the middle, and then like using, say, like that twine material. And then like I love using natural accents. So getting like, I didn't bring any up with me, but we have a whole bunch of live boughs in stock. And I love just getting a bunch and then taking, say, cedar or fir, and then you just cut a little bit and then you tie it in with twine on your present.
Jenny's favorite aesthetic for Christmas wrap is craft paper, twine, and some greenery.
Yeah, it's so simple, but it's like that little bit of extra because like you said last week, smell is like that number one trigger. Yep. And I find that if you put that little bit of like scent in the present, that's just like next level for me.
But Jenny, she loves like the cross twine, and then exactly that. She's done that before.
Yeah.
Where you get like kind of what you put in there, but not as big. You cut off just the little tips, and you do a little sprig of greenery instead of like the name tag or the sticker. Yeah. And she loves that aesthetic.
It's awesome. I really like it too. But you'll essentially keep these in the oven for 4 to 6 hours.
Your house must have smelled so good, though.
It was pretty good. Yeah.
But I like that you did different ones because I like the different colors and the different sizes.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain. I mean, in England, I think we had one type of orange. We didn't even have pumpkins. You know, they have pumpkins now in England. Very disappointed in New England. You didn't have pumpkins when I was a kid. Anywho.
You know what's cool, though? Hold it up to the light.
Oh, that...
Isn't that beautiful?
And with the hole, you could even put a light through there.
Yeah, totally. I bet you that would look so nice.
Oh, there's so much...
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that, like, the most simple things can add... such an accent and so unique.
Yeah. And you remember when I said that I put some of these with sugar?
Yeah.
So for this one, for example, if you hold this one up to the light, so you can actually see like the sugar grains in it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So it kind of reminds me of like stained glass or like the stained glass you would see like in a church or something.
I totally want to eat one, by the way.
I know. But then the ones without the sugar, I mean, you can see all the veins and everything that's involved. So it's a very pretty craft, in my opinion.
Even if it comes from the same one and you cut them nice and thin, and when you first put them out, they look identical. Yeah. But as they dry, all the different veins and capillaries all shrink differently.
Yeah.
You might have a hot spot in your oven. This grapefruit's over. You know how you have to rotate your cookies when you're cooking them? So this will dry differently from this one. Yeah. So they warp different.
Yes. And it's really cool too because the entire family
just scrunch one.
The entire family gets involved too, right? Like Brad was he had the light on at like every hour, just being like, what do they look like now? What do they look like now?
When I was a kid, I loved my presents. Of course I did. I loved Christmas. I was so excited. I loved getting presents. But now that I'm older, I get it. It. When I was a kid, I never believed my mom, ever. When my mom was like, oh no, I just like all the family being together and the food and everybody just being calm and having a day off. And I was like, oh, you're weird. It's presents, Mom. Now I'm in like mom's camp.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like, no, for me, it's about seeing people in the house and watching the kids decorate the tree and doing different activities and coming up with your own, like our jingle cactus.
Exactly.
This is my favorite thing ever.
Yeah. I actually, so when we made it at home, Brad was like, I started taking off the pom-poms and he's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He's like, I want to keep this. So I now have to take this home.
And with a small change of color, you could have an Easter cactus.
Oh, true. You could make it an all year round cactus.
Fall. You've got options.
Why don't we sell cactus with pom-poms on them?
Well, you know those cactus that have the flower right on the very top.
Yeah.
Most of those flowers on, like the cactus didn't actually grow.
Yeah,
it.
they're
just
like grafted,
Yeah,
right?
they just grafted or stuck on.
Yeah, but this is cuter.
Yeah, because Jenny would always say they were party lady cactus. She'd be like, they're wearing their party hats.
They're party hats.
Exactly.
True, though,
but
right?
This is better because, again, it's the same 3 colors, it's the same height, the flowers all look the same.
Yeah.
That, every single one is going to be different.
Yeah.
Okay, we got some steam going. How's our fragrance over there, Brandy?
Do you smell anything?
Actually, I absolutely smell the orange now. I can smell the citrus.
I smell the juniper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got orange at first, and now I'm getting... Oh, how subtle is that? Until I was like really thinking of it. Balsam.
Wow.
I could smell
the balsam
yeah.
too. That's crazy.
That came on fast.
Yeah.
So you did have to crank up the heat to really get it going.
Yeah. So if you're doing this on the stove top, I would see you probably turning on the stove till high and then getting it to boil and then turning it down to that simmer. So you kind of kickstart the simmer process. So if you're using an Instant Pot, throw it on saute for a little bit and then bump it down to either. Yeah.
Can you smell the cloves?
Yeah, actually a little bit.
Can't smell them yet.
Unless they're just mixing.
Oh, no, you're right. Very faintly.
Yeah.
It's why do I feel like I'm a wine critic? I'm getting notes of clove. Yeah, hints of autumn. I'm getting Thanksgiving cactus. Oh, do you know what? Do you know what we should have done?
No.
Incense cedar.
Oh, there's an idea.
People go nuts for cedar. Okay.
So if you have some leftover boughs from, say, your, I don't know, shower curtain trick or whatever, maybe, throw some of those in.
And here's the thing. Technically, it can be the ugly end.
Yeah.
Right? Because when people trim, they always keep the tips, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
And that's the part they keep for the ornamental, and then that bit with 2 branches sticking off it, that's awkward. Well, that's the part you throw in there.
Yeah.
So you're not wasting anything. When it's done, you can reuse that water, and then everything else goes in the compost.
Yeah, there's a way to be resourceful. Hey.
Oh, I can really smell it now.
Yeah, it smells. So what was this called again? This was called
the magical woolly
Quiet Winter Forest.
I was going to get that.
Does it smell like a quiet winter forest? Kind of, actually.
I could see that.
It's a nice natural scent.
So I have one in my office, not knocking anybody here, because I like them. I like diffusers.
Yeah.
That smells better.
It does smell better.
It smells more. Diffusers smell like diffusers.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you get like watermelon anything, it's like it's not true watermelon. Like this.
Like the makers of NyQuil, have they ever actually tasted a cherry? Like that is not cherry NyQuil. Nope.
I mean, true, but this smells like a memory. It literally smells like Canmore. I feel like I'm having one of these like crises. Okay. I'm like, where have I been?
Where have I been? That smelled exactly like this.
Exactly like this.
I'm really getting clove.
I've never experienced this before. This is so wild to me.
Yeah, that is okay. I'm really digging that as a.
I'm making this at home.
And what an easy craft! Because I was laughing at the way you were just like cutting orange in, throwing in branches, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But wow, did that ever come together nice?
Yeah. Oh,
and it's my kind of recipe because it's a handful of this, bit of that. What do you got?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wonder what good vibes we're putting into our house using this.
Oh, I love it.
Sink water. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, well, that wraps us up for this week. I hope we inspired you a little bit to get a little festive in your home, whether it be with your existing houseplants, your cactus, or maybe a monstera that you want to decorate with some lights. Maybe you have some citrus that you want to dry out and give to your loved ones or decorate your home. There's lots of ways to use natural plants and boughs and
it's fun and it's affordable.
It is, absolutely. And that's exactly what we all could use this time of year, right?
Love it. 10 out of 10 episode. You totally surprised me. I kind of knew the subject, didn't know which way it was going, and between the fragrance and the cactus, which I am so in awe of. Yeah, this was fantastic.
Well, if you're listening over on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube, thank you so much for joining us this week. Make sure you're following us, leave us a review, tell your friends. We'd love to grow this community, and we've got lots of festive content coming up. So we'll hope you'll join us next week on the Helpful Gardeners podcast. Bye.
Bye, everyone.